The Gemini-Sagittarius polarity is an axis of thinking, how you learn, what you're perceiving, what you're taking in, and how that forms ultimately your worldview, how that shapes what you're perceiving and the life experiences you're having. Gemini is about your mind. It's about your personal experiences. It's internal. It's what we take in and sit with, the details we ponder, what we want to think through, and ultimately how we create stories. Our own internal narration process is Gemini. What you're thinking about, how you're thinking about it, what is capturing your attention. Gemini also relates to how we learn, how we understand information and everything that's moving all around us. Then it's how we speak. Gemini is also about your communication style. It's activating that throat chakra. It's really understanding what you need to say, how you want to say it, and in a way that is truthful. Sometimes that Gemini energy is very scattered. It can be all over the place. It moves fast. And it's where you could feel like you're processing a million thoughts a minute. But when that Gemini energy slows down, it's able to focus, concentrate, and really understand what is important to put your mental energy towards and what's just frivolous or not worth the time. Now, the other side of the energy polarity here is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is about the bigger worldview. Sagittarius expands you to move outside of your own mind, to look beyond what is known, and to go into new territory or turf to see things in a different way. The healthy expression of Sagittarius allows us to understand differing belief systems, to hold space for different opinions where we don't agree, where we have a different perception on what's unfolding. Sagittarius is about allowing multiple ideologies to exist. It's also where we can understand how people have very different belief systems based on their different lifestyles, their culture, community, how they were raised, life experiences, on and on the list goes. But this is understanding too that Sagittarius in a healthy way stays open to these differences and doesn't get locked into what is right or wrong. Because sometimes that Sagittarius energy can apply that filter of judgment. It can be unconscious. It can simply be based on an assumption or an expectation, or this is how I see things. Why don't other people see it this way too? Why doesn't everyone agree with me? I mean, we live here on this planet with very diverse understandings of almost every topic, right? I mean, there's things that we have very different perspectives on. Sagittarius assists us in understanding those viewpoints without taking it personally or assuming you have to fight or go to war over those differences. Sagittarius is also where we keep learning throughout life. We keep seeking new understanding. We want to stay open to things we didn't know. Sagittarius has a willingness to open up and say, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or oh, I didn't realize it from that perspective. So this is where we can hold different opinions without having to push back or even to exaggerate the energy too fully. Now, the thing about Sagittarius, however, is that it can be locked into, as I said, those judgments, those understandings of this is right, this is wrong, and then it can apply it to people and say, well, they're wrong and I'm right. So there's energies to navigate here where we can raise our consciousness around what we're perceiving and basically open up the space, open up room for multiple perspectives to coexist. And that would be actually one of the keywords for Sagittarius is coexistence with those from different backgrounds, different cultures, different ideologies. How do we maintain that in a healthy way? Now, the opposite of Sagittarius is Gemini. So then you look at all these world experiences, the places you've traveled, the places you've been, and how that then comes back into the Gemini realms of your personal thought processes, what you really are thinking or holding around those experiences, what you're really truly integrating and taking into your daily environment. Gemini is also about short-term excursions. It's weekend trips where you go on a daily basis. It's about the energy in your everyday environment. And sometimes if that becomes too mundane or too boring, there's a desire then to expand into the Sagittarius energies of let's go somewhere new, let's go somewhere different, let's see what's happening over here, let's go to a new country that we haven't been to before. Sagittarius has that adventurous streak to keep seeking, to keep exploring and understanding that takes you out of the everyday, that takes you out of what you have been moving through, perhaps feeling like you're on a hamster wheel and you want to try something in a new way. That would be Sagittarius, and that's where we continue to learn. We continue to see what else is out in the world and how to do things differently. Now, sometimes that Sagittarius energy, it can be very big, it exaggerates, and it can be the go big energy. It's sort of like when you have a big dream, a big vision. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go on this big trip all around the world. Okay, let's just say you bought a one-way ticket and you're gonna travel all around the world, stopping at every continent. Well, that can be very exciting. That's a very Sagittarius endeavor. Gemini brings it down and says, okay, what flight are you gonna take? What about your hotel reservations? When are you landing? When are you taking off? What are you gonna pack? Gemini takes that big Sagittarius vision and brings it back to the details of what needs to be considered, what needs to connect. So if you're going to go on a big adventure, Gemini is gonna be like, okay, then we need to plan what you're going to take and when the plane leaves or when you need to be at the next event, the airport, whatever it might be. Gemini is a planner. So it can plan those details of the very big Sagittarius excited vision. And this is where the two can work together very well, where they allow each to be in their own expert energy. They allow each to be heard, because think about too how sometimes that Gemini energy, it can be too much about just the everyday. And Sagittarius is like, but there's more to see. There's other ways to understand this. There's another way you could approach this. So Sagittarius wants to pull Gemini out of what you're maneuvering through on a regular basis, or perhaps what you've just assumed is your life. And Sagittarius will say there's different ways to live your life. There's different things you could look at or consider or sit with. So these signs are about looking at what you are thinking about, what you're perceiving. They're also about understanding that it's good to stay open to life. They're both mutable signs. They're both about possibilities and choices and being flexible and adaptable. Now, they also can be very restless. So if you have a strong Gemini or strong Sagittarius, then you probably are more comfortable on the go. You want variety. You want to try new things. And you probably don't want to be locked in, because the mutable signs do like to have that flexibility to do as they please when they want, and to enjoy the spice of life, to have a change in routine. So the mutable signs seek that out. Now, Gemini, it can be very focused, as I said, on the details, the information. We got to do this, we got to do that. And it can forget to look up. So think about Gemini as you're reading the book and you're focusing on the page in front of you, the story in front of you. Sagittarius is like, well, look up. There's all these other genres. There's all these other topics to explore as well. And so this is where Sagittarius can help Gemini expand and keep growing, just as Gemini can help Sagittarius manage the details, not overlook the important things. Make sure you are covering all the necessary bases. You're not forgetting your passport at home. You're aware of what happens when you travel. You can't forget your vitamins, whatever it might be. Gemini is about, okay, let's make sure that you have your list and that you're aware of what you need to take with you as you go out and have this big adventure or expand your energy. So this is the polarity or axis of your thoughts, your learning, and how you approach all the information in the world, all the things that are circling around us, what resonates with you, what connects, what is something that you think about, and then what inspires you? What inspires you to go bigger, to expand, to keep growing, and to keep stretching? So I hope these insights have helped you understand more about these energies in your own chart. I am doing a series on these polarities, and I'll be back with a look at our next set of astrological signs.